ready when you are.
Okay. So if anyone has any
I have
questions?
a question.
Yeah.
So I saw how you brought the shop experience to life within a Facebook ad, the restaurant space. What would that look like?
So we actually talked a lot about the different ways that current cafes are successfully promoting their own products on Instagram. It's not only just pictures of food, because consumers are engaging with pictures of people. They want to see how they could use the space, how the space is being used, and kind of moving forward, maybe highlighting different people that show up in the shop. If you establish that regular consumer basis within the North Side, that leads you into a good opportunity to ask them if they'd like to be featured in a social media post, and kind of bringing that like consumer face to a brand that is essentially like sandwiches and soups, and it's outside of just the cafe itself, and it's more brings into the total brand strategy.
I have a question. So I really like the treatment of the logo. I like the way that you did the Mnet, and then you hit the cafe and the shop both in red. The little icon with the tag and the spatula or fork was really nicely done. My question is, in the cafe, you made a point to say catered by Black Radish, which I think was a smart decision. There's some local equity in that.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do anything on the shop, and you know, I thought one of the interesting things you talked about was local artists, these kind of gems from the local. Was there any conversation around, like you did with the catered by Black Radish, you know, from local artists, versus just the shop, which is kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, what am I going to find there?
So they're actually contractually obligated to put the like Black Radish kitchen
Okay.
logo on it, but I think that would work with both. We just have to make sure that that they kind of look a little bit similar, and then we could get into some copyrighted issues. But I think that'd be a good point going forward to kind of make sure that both brands stay have the continuity, but are also separate.
Yeah, because it pays off back to your the culture meets
Mhm.
community, which I thought was a nice insight around. I mean, Pittsburgh thinks we're all a big collection of neighborhoods, so I think
Mhm.
tapping into this is a place where you're going to get these neighborhoods, and even the Black makes you feel like, oh, it's local, it's interesting. So
Mhm.
I think carrying that, I think that thinking is really sound. I think carrying that through both of the cafe and shop.
Okay.
I think
Really.
hitting it with a broad stroke by saying just local artists would be the smart move, because they change their inventory all the time, and they feature
Okay,
different
right.
artists like
Right.
every other like season.
Right.
We also discussed a little bit about featuring different artists on the different social medias we use. So
that's
being
good.
able to connect people that would want to buy these local artists on the media platforms that they're actually using.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives the ability to tag the artist and have any of the following that the artist has kind of funnel back into us, because they're able to buy all of the items from the shop online.
Great.
In your communications plan, you listed a number of tactics, but not any associated budget. Our budget's only $3,000. Can we do what you listed in the communications plan?
So the budget, like you said, is $3,000. We arrange it so that 80 to 90% would be towards Facebook, just because we realize that all of our target audience is in Facebook, even if they are in separate campaigns. So putting all of our money, or most of our money, into Facebook, I think where we'll see the most return. But we also do have, in our email campaigns, we suggest using Constant Contact, which came to about a 10% use of our budget for just like a monthly plan. So we suggested so much for Facebook, because we understood that we needed at least 5 or 10% for our email campaigns, and then unless we have any other very strong ideas, we're going to put most of the rest of it to Facebook, because we think that that's where our success will be.
And the Facebook, not only, like, I know that a lot of people on the younger side of the spectrum has been like, oh, like, all my parents are on Facebook, all my grandparents are on Facebook, I want to get out. But they've actually done a lot of research that especially college age students are looking for events on Facebook. So once we kind of have this kickoff and we kind of grow that brand and grow this experience, we've talked about like numerous different things about doing like paint and sip nights, or different things that can make the cafe especially more of a community space. So it gives the community more equity, and more people have more equity in the space, as it's like a public space instead of something that's privately owned. So that we also, like, the Facebook would not only be to like target ads towards the families and the people of 60 plus age range, but it's also a good way to get our events out there.
Plus, Facebook integrates pretty well with Instagram when it comes to their advertising. So what can be used on Facebook is also usually able to use on Instagram. So we can kind of split. The budget will still be the same because it's using the same ad manager, which is Facebook, but it can go on 2 different platforms. And I think it also has recently done Twitter. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I'm pretty sure we get on there too using the same platform.
Also, by utilizing Facebook, we will be able to specifically track our return on investment and see who we're targeting and who's actually being reached.
Upon asking the client for the Mattress Factory this morning, there was some ideas of tracking sales and foot traffic, but there wasn't a really concrete suggestion, so we'd like to prove like a concrete way to track engagement going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value in Facebook for all the reasons you just mentioned, but I think, what are your thoughts on Instagram? Did you play around with the idea of tapping into any local influencers? Because when I think of food, I really think of Instagram, like that's the space where a lot of culinary companies are playing right now.
We definitely did talk about it. We thought that there's a lot of people, especially in Pittsburgh, that are food people. I don't know if you know Hungry Girl Big City, but she's one of the big ones. And the problem we have with that is we do have such a limited budget for this kickoff. So we were thinking for the kickoff, we'd stick with this, and then as we move forward, as we get more funding, as the kickoff goes into the normal everyday life, we'd start bringing in more influencers. Maybe we could use, that's kind of what we were thinking in the beginning. We could potentially use some of the budget to have influencers in the beginning, but for right now, based on what we've researched and the returns, this is the safest avenue as of right now with the budget we have.
Yeah. And
Also, it could happen organically that these influencers would find out about the great food at the cafe and want to feature it on their Instagram accounts.
And right now, the Mattress Factory only has the marketing director and a graphic design person. So that's an avenue for them to get possibly like an intern over the summer that has photography experience that can kind of build up our Instagram presence, because I don't think it's worth paying for an influencer to come out if you have nowhere to showcase it or nobody to see that you're showcasing things. So we're kind of worried about like building up that initial brand before we kind of take that leap, just to make sure that it doesn't waste our time or money or the influencer's time. Okay, thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.